Hello, super coaches. We've survived the first big bye round, but now we've got Origin and the first of the big small bye rounds, and Tom Sangster has abandoned us in our hour of need, joined by Tim Moodie, Brandon Savage. How'd you go on the weekend, lads?
Yeah, I kind of just a little bit by par, I guess. I dropped to like 600 ranks, so yeah, but not too dramatic from where I was sitting at like 6,000th.
I went up 70 spots with a score of 917. I feel like the bye rounds used to be such a moving period, and I think that's kind of flipped now, where I think this week is the week to move.
Yeah, I know some of the teams are going to be struggling with the three teams that are on bye this week. They're more prepared for last week. We'll start off with some breaking team news. A lot of super coaches are going to have to reverse their trades. Tom Trbojevic, a bit of a surprise out last week. I know he's been playing busted for a couple of weeks, but out this week. You guys have him in your team?
I traded him in 2 weeks ago for his 19 against the Cowboys. I was actually very happy to own him on the weekend. Looked much better. I'm okay with him sitting out, to be honest, because he's playing a Broncos side. I don't know what they're going to throw up. He has a good draw after that, so I'm happy for him to take the rest this week and owners potentially go off him. So I've got him as a bit of a pod play for the next few weeks.
It's a good thing for you, because I was going to sort of rush him in. I was just looking at the price going, you know, him and Teddy, the difference, and the draws look pretty similar. I thought I'd just back him and hope he can sort of put up at least scores like 70 and hopefully better, but ruling him out now, I'm going to sort of at least go a different way this week, and it might impact me not getting him in the long term, who knows.
Yeah. Brandon, what's your biggest takeaway for the teams?
Keon Kalamatangi, I think he's the most traded in player by a fair distance this week. Playing in the middle, he broke the record for the most base stats for any Supercoach player the last time he played against the Tigers on that Sunday. The second highest base scorer was Terrell May in the same game, which is crazy. So he's at a really good price, severely underpriced. I'm getting him in my side this week.
Yeah, same. That's the one trade I've locked in so far. Tim, what's your biggest takeaway?
Ponga, like being named to back up, I was pretty excited for Fletcher Sharp to be at fullback again, and I guess we'll see how it plays out. We'll watch Origin, we'll see who gets injured, how busted people look. I think something's going to happen.
Yeah. Reminder super coaches that the SuperCoach Plus trial has run out. You can get SuperCoach Plus for just $29.95. It's absolutely essential. You get all your players in and out, projections and all that. Or you can get a code subscription, $59 for the whole year. That also gives you access to all the code stories. So get on. Starting off with our first game, Dragons v the Knights. We've got a few changes for the Dragons. Christian Tuipulotu is back, so everyone who's held on to him will be cheering. Dylan Egan out for the season, which we already knew. Luciano Leilua named to start. And Toby Couchman back a week early from injury. Either of you guys held on to Tuipulotu?
No, but I had him and I loved him. He was so exciting for the little period that we had, especially when he pulled the Rainmakers back out. And that we had the permission to do that. And he was doing it when he was ahead that time, which was fun. I sort of rushed when I found out Turbo wasn't in, and he was. Sort of scrambled to see how much he was again.
Yep.
Was a bit more than Turbo, and 40k more. So I don't know how I'd make it work, but I think there's a way I could make it work, but I might sort of go a different way other than him. So we'll see. It's 50-50 call whether I go him or another bloke.
Yeah.
Any
interest in Tuipulotu going forward?
I think he's one of them guys you can toss up in the conversation, but I think because our sides are so stacked right now, we've been blessed with cheapies nice and early on, so I think we've kind of got the centre wings that we're looking for at this time of year.
Speak for yourself.
The first 5 rounds of the St George were looking really good, and Tuipulotu was a gold mine. That's kind of petered out for me at the moment, so I'll wait and see for a good score from him.
Yeah. Moving on to the Knights, like we said before, Kalen Ponga has been named to back up from Origin, which sees Fletcher Sharp move back to 5'8" and Tyson Gamble to halfback. But you'd have to think, if this game's only 2 days after Origin, if Ponga's bashed up in Origin, you'd have to think that they move Fletcher Sharp back to fullback and make some changes in their halves.
Every chance, especially if Kalen Ponga has a rough game. We know the New South Wales team are going to target him and do it well, mind you.
We hope.
I think 2 days later after Origin is tipped to be the easiest time to back up, because their body isn't fully recovered yet, so they can put their recovery a lot quicker. But yeah.
I think it's actually 3 days. My maths was a little bit off. The other changes for the Knights, Leah Thompson back, which sees Brady Jones move back to the bench. Adam Elliott's going to be sidelined for a while with a biceps injury, which actually sees Matt Croker come into the side at lock. Jack Hetherington back, but nothing too relevant there. So we'll move on to the next game, which is the Titans v Storm. Des Hasler just doing Des Hasler things at the Titans again, completely overhauling the back line again. Jalen de Groot back at fullback, AJ Brimson back at 5'8", Kieran Foran moves to the bench. What's happening at the Titans?
Yeah, I was sort of saying beforehand, maybe Des just wanted one look at Brimson at fullback to see what it, thought it would look like again. I mean, seen it there before, but maybe we're just like, no.
Yeah.
Go the other way. Maybe just team dynamic, I'm not too sure. But I own him as well, so being a sharp ender, Brimson owner's a bit frustrating. Both have been put back to 5'8".
Yeah. Importantly for Supercoaches, Bo Firma and Tino both named to back up from Origin. So, I mean, playing in the forward pack, you'd think Bo Firma backs up pretty much no matter what, but Tino probably have to wait and see depending on how busy he is in Origin.
Minutes and stuff like that as well, but they really need him just as much as teams like Penrith.
Yeah, Tino's relied on heavily. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't know when to come in there. He's relied on heavily at the time, so he'll play whether it's big minutes or not. I think he's a nice little play for your side this week. Bo Fermor playing off the bench, so probably less minutes and probably good to go for 80 minutes. I think there might be a late swap though. I think Bo Fermor comes into the starting side.
I think you could be onto something there. Only other changes for the Titans. Brian Kelly is back after missing last week, last minute, with Tony Francis dropping out of the side. Storm, again, Origin reps named to back up. Harry Grant, Cam Munster, Trent Liera, all named to play, assuming they get through game 1 unscathed. But Bronson Garlick is on the bench, and Harry Grant just coming back from injury, so you'd got to think that especially if he plays big minutes in Origin, which I think we think he will, that he's every chance of getting rested last minute.
Yeah, potentially. Melbourne are coming off a loss, so I assume they'll want to make sure they do win this one. The big one here for me, Ryan Papenhuyzen. He got him into my side last week. I missed that 182, so I'm very excited to own him this week.
Yeah, I missed out on his massive score as well, but I did pick him up the week after that, and very good VC option this week up against the Titans. Could be in for a big score. That's it for that game. So we'll move on to the next game, which is Cowboys v the Tigers. And again, all the Cowboys Origin players named to back up. It's just going to be the theme of this team's list, with pretty much every Origin player named to back up. Tom Dearden, Jeremiah Nanai, Ruben Cotter, all named to back up, and Ruben Cotter actually returning from suspension. One change that I think was a little bit surprising, Murray Tuolungi out for a few weeks, which sees Jackson Paulo come back into the team. There's not really too much happening here of Supercoach relevance.
Burgess stays at 5'8".
Yeah. Which seems like he'll stick with that for a while, you'd think. And the only other changes here, Sam McIntyre to prop, Cohen Hess moves back to the bench, and Cotter moving to lock in his return from suspension/Origin. Any interest in any of these guys?
Not really for this game. Drinkwater could be a popular captain option. I think that this is the matchup that always tends to have big points. We know 74-0 a couple of years ago. Scott Drinkwater went 160 plus or something. I think just one thing on the Origin players being named to back up, the competition is so tight this year that I think a lot of teams won't be able to afford to do it. I think maybe the Bulldogs will be able to. They're going to buy this week, so it's good for them. A lot of teams do have buys during this period as well, so I think we potentially only see most of these teams back up only, rest from backing up maybe once.
Does Lehigh Hopewadi have a duel?
Yes.
All right, cool. I was just stressing for fullback. Yeah, all right, because with the Tigers, I think they're just going to be a little bit mentally depleted still. Like they sort of went through a bit and sort of recovered a little bit, a bit of resilience. I just think this could be a bit, now that they actually know it's out there. It could be the complete opposite, where they just sort of complete galvanise. But yeah, so I think for the Cowboys, Drinky's a mad captain, but also you've got Pappy there as an awesome captain against the Titans. So if you own both, maybe you're VCing one into the other. But yeah.
Definitely. And on the Tigers, and
that's why I was worried about Lehigh. I'm thinking, if I've only got them both a fullback, and I wouldn't be able to move the bits. So I needed another fullback to make all that work. So, yeah.
At the Tigers, Lockie Galvin not named this week ahead of his imminent move to the Bulldogs, we all think. Heath Mason named to start at 5'8" instead. There was some mail that Samuel Afainu could be out with a knee injury, but he has been named as well. And Fanua Pole still not in the side. Lots happening there. You'd have to think with maybe the Lachlan Galvin saga is finally over. How do you think the Tigers will react to that?
Oh, I think they're a bit shot for depth at the moment. They started the season really good, but their depth is really getting tested out at the moment. I think this is a transition period for them. They will start to leak points, but I don't think they're as bad as they have been in years past. They're definitely improving, but I think we'll start to see through this period when teams are really starting to hit their straps, they're slowly falling off right now. It's sad to see, but I think they'll be up some weeks. I think a week like this week is going to be tough for them.
You'd like to think maybe they've already prepared for this. They've already gone through the tough part of it. They kind of already knew what was going to be happening anyway. Yep. So, I don't know. Hopefully they do respond well, but yeah, for them and Tigers fans, but I could see maybe it could go negatively as well.
Yeah. We've talked about it a bit already, but Tom Trbojevic is out for Manly this week, and as we were just talking about him, Lehigh Hopewade has been named at fullback for Manly. Lehigh Hopewade was already one of the most purchased players coming into this round before we knew about Turbo, and I think now that we know he's playing at fullback this week, I think even more Supercoaches are going to want to jump on.
Yeah, I actually, attacking wise, I don't like it as much. I think he's less chance of falling over for line break tries. But if Tom Trbojevic is out of the side, you want him playing fullback. I think the worst case scenario is if there's no Tom Trbojevic and he's still on that wing. So I think it's really good for him when he, regardless of where he is. So I think he's a really nice purchase throughout this period.
Yeah, we'd seen the last couple of weeks, his base had gone up through the roof, just trying to pick up the slack from Turbo being busted.
Yeah.
So I suppose moving to fullback, he probably... who knows how he's going to be used.
I think DCE, if he backs up, is huge. Like just for the side in general going well. Like they, lost last week, and some of these players scored okay. But if they're really humming, and sort of with him in the side, it could make it a lot better.
Yeah, and you just touched on him. Daly Cherry Evans has been named to back up from Origin. You'd have to think, given he's getting on in years now, though, that he could be a chance to rest. But you'd expect that Manly put him out there. Two other changes for Manly. Josh Alloy and Ben Trbojevic are back. Siasia Takiaho is out with a calf injury, and Jake Trbojevic still out after back-to-back head knocks. So rough days for my Seagulls. At the Broncos, Payne Haas and Patrick Carrigan named to back up from Origin, which is huge. Payne Haas has been, I think he was the 10th most sold player when I was looking before, so I reckon everyone's just got to reverse that trade. And the only other change at the Broncos, Jesse Arthurs moves to fullback, and Selwyn Cobbo moves back to the bench. Either of you still have Jesse Arthurs in your side?
No, I don't. But I haven't really been paying too close attention to how he'd been going. But I don't think he's been going fantastic. But
I don't think
terribly.
it's that good for him, to be honest. I think his yardage game is good, but it doesn't accumulate Supercoach points in his game. But he won't get those easy tries on the left wing.
It's like the Walsh and the Ben Hunt sort of pass.
So I think it's bad for him. I think it's good for Cobbo because Cobbo might play left wing potentially.
Yeah.
Or he might go the right and Marinette on the left.
I can't remember which way they named it, but yeah.
I guess back to Payne Haas though, I actually think he's one person who is a risk to be rested because of that quad injury. So I definitely want to keep it
just
close.
Getting him right for Origin in time and him going absolutely hard at it. You'd think that maybe even if he does pull up okay, they just give him a week off.
Potentially. Madge is under pressure though, so who knows.
You wouldn't be trading Payne Haas out though, would you?
Not if you held him till this week.
I did last week.
Yeah, I did last week as well. So if I had him this week, I wouldn't be trading him out, but I'd be wary.
See what happens,
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, we've got Rabbitohs v the Warriors. Not too much happening here. Latrell Mitchell has been named to back up, but they've got Fletcher Myers on the reserve, so there could be some late changes there. The person I want to talk about, though, when you mentioned him at the start, Keon Kalamatangi, just when he's playing in the middle, he's an absolute machine, and he's my locked-in trade for the week. You reckon everyone should be getting on? Is he a must-have?
Pretty close. It feels like he's kind of pretty close, just with the price he's at and what he can put out, and you know, these forwards are just so valuable that are doing these sort of points consistently, and I think he will be able to put those sort of 70 pluses out. There might be the odd 65 there or whatever, depending on minutes and stuff like that. But yeah, looks really, really good. Has the bye coverage as well. Yeah, really into it.
I don't see any negatives at all. Potentially maybe Origin selection in round 2, but we're going to wait till tomorrow and see how tomorrow goes. If New South Wales win, then he's probably no chance, nearly. But yeah, I don't see any negatives, and especially in that second row position, like who's standing out at the moment? There's Tino, he's another front rower, but I don't know, it's the year of the front rower, right?
I kind of really like the way he's trimmed up a little bit too. I know they did that for the second row, but I find it's just makes him a little bit more agile through the middle too, so I think it's handy. Like it.
Named to start again at front row this week, so you'd think he's basically guaranteed to earn dual position in the next round of updates, which I think is round 18, which is good news for him. And onto the Warriors. James Fisher-Harris back from suspension. Rocco Berry also back from a hamstring injury. Mitch Barnett named to back up from Origin. And Lika Halasima, I'm not sure if any of you guys got on him when he was going good, but he's moved back to the bench now, so a bit concerning there. Any thoughts on the Warriors at the moment?
They're not really standing out Supercoach-wise, are
pretty
they?
good footy-wise, yeah. Maybe Roger Tuivasa. I haven't looked at his price, but he's had a couple, I think, back-to-back 30s, but then scored a try last week. I think if you kind of have a closer look at the matchups, maybe it might be a thing. He could be someone.
He's 500k. It's
probably
pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more than I'd want to give when I'm just looking at other ones. It seems like other ones that are like 600k, if you can afford the extra 100k, I'd just rather lock in, like Lehigh, for example, and I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but maybe like even like Mark, he's probably jumped up a bit more. Mark Nwangawate, he's probably a bit over 70. Sorry, I don't even know why I had a go of it. I just realised I had to probably finish his surname, but I should have just...
It's all good. Moving on to the Panthers v the Eels. All the Panthers Origin players have been named to back up, so Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo and Liam Martin. They've got a bunch of players named on the extended bench that could cover those positions if they do decide to rest any of them, which they've done in the past, but you'd sort of think...
full steam ahead.
I mean, Panthers need wins at the moment, so you'd think they would just roll everyone out if they're all good to go, right?
I think injury is not a concern for them, because if they get injured and they don't make the finals, they've got to make the finals.
Yeah, they can't just save them for the finals, then you've got to get to the finals.
You've got to get to the finals first, so I think all go ahead. Is that the same?
Yeah.
I was going to try, but Gabriel's going to be a worse version of that. So.
I actually like Nathan Cleary as a captaincy option in this game as well, if he is good to go. I mean, there's a chance if they get up by a lot that they do take him off early, but they would have to be up by a lot first, and you'd think he'd be a big part of that. Other changes for the Panthers: Scott Sorensen is back from suspension. Isaac Tungo moves back to centre. And not too much else going on there. You like the Panthers and Cleary in this matchup? Yeah,
I do. I think Parramatta have really stepped up in the last couple of weeks, though, so it does worry me that it's a bottom of the table clash and it's going to be closer than it has been in years past.
Yeah.
And whose home game is it? It's Panthers, but...
At Combank.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on to the Eels, Origin duo Mitch Moses and Zach Lomax have been named to back up, which is a shame because Dean Hawkins looked really, really good last week and he's punted back to the reserves. But if Moses is injured or they decide to rest him, they've got a ready-made replacement there. Will Penasini out with concussion, which sees Sean Russell come back in. And Joash Papali'i looked really good last week, and he retains his spot on the bench. Any interest, if he can get a starting spot, any interest in him as a potential cheapie?
He looks really good. Like he looks like he's ready for first grade and is really hungry, which is good in the future Supercoach prospects that you're looking at. I just don't see where he goes in.
In wing doesn't seem ideal for him. It seemed like an urgent, desperate thing, and I think if they've got better cover, they'll probably try to get that in somehow. But I don't know if he's named there.
He's named on the bench. So.
Then probably not.
Moving on to the next game, the Roosters v the Raiders. Again, Roosters, all their Origin players have been named to back up. Lindsay Collins, Spencer Leniu, Connor Watson, Robert Toya and Angus Crichton. was a bit surprising to see Robert Toya get a call up. Do you guys still have him in your team?
I do.
Yeah. I forgot about him. I do. I'm waiting for him to play one more game so he can just have that little extra price rise. And yeah, I kind of might need to play him this week. So it looks like if he doesn't back up, I might have to play Billy Smith. So much rather play him after his breakout performance, getting him into Origin.
Yeah, Billy Smith, one of the most sold as well this week. So would you be moving on from him and Robert
Feels
Toya?
due though, Billy Smith. He's got to score a try or something.
I don't think he's a sell. He's only made 70k, Billy Smith, and we saw those first 2 games, 70 plus scores with tries. Like, he's still getting that 35 base.
Yeah, but hold him on.
He's got no attacking stats. He's still 380k. We've seen with Tom Jenkins. We've seen with Robert Toya, who's now over 540k with more money to come. I think you just wait on Billy Smith because Billy Smith here, they'll come for him.
Yeah, what about Robert Toya now that he's in Origin camp as well? You'd think if the Maroons win, he would hold on to his spot, and I think we all sort of held him because of the Roosters bye coverage, but now you don't even really get that from him.
Yeah, negative 19 break even this week. The 148 that he scored a couple of weeks ago will go out of his average after this game that he plays this weekend, so I think he'll be a popular sell next weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And then on to the Raiders. Owen Paddy starting this week with Tom Starling suspended. Any of you still have Starling in your side?
No, but I'm glad for the few mates that have got him that he's out.
Hudson Young is named to back up from Origin. He's only coming off the bench for New South Wales, so you'd think he comes back and plays big minutes. And yeah, not too much else going on at the Raiders. I know they had a few other. Corey Horsburgh is amongst the most sold this week. Are you holding on to him, or what are you doing with him?
Temporarily, just because I've probably got better sells that I should make in the short term.
Yeah,
bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, bigger fish to fry at the moment. So, yeah, but he's probably on the chopping block.
I think he's who I'm going to move on this week to get Keon in.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
I mean, he's made 170k, but I think with his performance last week and
I've still got Egan there. If I didn't have Egan, that'd probably be my best way killing player.
Obviously, more of a must sell for sure. That's all the games this week, but there is 3 teams on bye. We've got the Sharks, the Bulldogs, and the Dolphins on bye. We sort of talked about it before. We were a bit more prepared for the big bye round this week, but a lot of SuperCoach relevant players in these 3 games. Are you guys going to be able to field a full team easily enough?
I've got like 3 or 4 of them, or maybe less, but like I sort of was wary of this week because of the Origin sort of not backing up factor, but hopefully get through okay. But then when I get other blokes get suspended and stuff this last round, that sort of made things a little bit more difficult, but see what happens.
Yeah, with the Tommy Turbo news, I've got to play Lockie Hubner now.
Oh, yeah.
And the only person I'm not playing after that is Royce Hunt. So, like, it's a perfect week to loot, but is it, considering I got Royce Hunt? So it is thin for me, but I'm still doing okay. Playing Tom Jenkins and Robert Toya as well, which is yuck. But still, I think these weeks when you are playing players like this, don't rip apart your team just for 1 week.
Yeah.
It's just roll with it and stick with your long-term
Sometimes
plans.
they can be the guys that surprises you and does well better than
exactly.
some of your guns. Like you're relying on your
Toya
guys like Garrick and Olkawatu last week, and they sort of underwhelmed for me. And it's some of the other guys that pop off.
Yeah.
Yep, a few guys worth talking about from these games though. Adam Finnell-Blake was seen in he had his arm in a sling after the Roosters game on the bye this week. Do either of you own, and what are you going to do with him?
No, I don't. But I don't know. I haven't really had enough time to think about it. I'd probably hold him if I can get through this round and see how long it's for. But
he just saw Terrell May on the Matty Johns show with the bag, and he wanted a better accessory to show off. Front Rolls Club.
I've got him. I'm just going to hold. From what we've heard, the Mail, with them on the bye this week, he should be good to go after that. And someone else I wanted to talk about from the Bulldogs, Connor Tracy. I don't know if either of you participated in this experiment. I did. And it's just completely backfired. And I think I'm just going to abandon ship this week and move on. Would you be moving on if you brought him in?
I wouldn't worry about, feeling like you got it wrong or you're not happy with it and just cutting your ties. I brought Ronnie Mulatalo in last week, and I think he might be the best way I can get someone like Lehigh into my side. Otherwise, it's got to be someone cheaper. That's why I was looking at Turbo because I can afford Turbo, but now I might have to change who I'm going to sell and just cut my ties with Ronnie. It's only 1 game. He still will play 15, but I'm not only in love with the trade. It was a panic 14th but fourth booth to get a 14th player last week, and he
Yep.
dropped out. So, yeah, I'm just going to cut my ties, I think. So, I don't think that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Connor Tracy, I actually like him as a hold. I think he's going to be, a lot of people jumped on and a lot of people are going to jump off. I actually like the play. This is the period where he scored low scores. Throughout the year, he has really good scores, but it's accompanied by these low scores. So if you hold on, you've gone through the worst of it. At least get some good.
There is
while you
one
go through it.
factor as well, kind of like just the changing dynamic of who's going to lose their spot, and everyone's sort of playing for a position.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to play in this side this year because they're a chance of being a premiership threat. So I think maybe over the next couple of games he gets, if they haven't already made the decision, it could be good for him too. So
Yeah.
True.
Cool. I think that's just about it for this week, lads. Thanks, Tim Moodie. Thanks, Brandon Savage. Good luck in round 13, Supercoaches.